Why I'm starting on FlexMLS is because I'm going to do a single showing request, and that single showing request is going to jump me into aligned showings. But before I do that, I'm sure there are some listing agents in here today. I'm going to show you real quick what you need to do to edit your listings. On menu, underneath add change, you're going to go to change listing. So if for some reason you have the old showing service in your account, it was automatically removed December 27th. You had to manually change that. So either you're going to make a manual change or any of your listings moving forward. So I typed in my listing information, and then underneath general listing information, I'm going to go ahead and go into that area. My little cheat is I go straight to details to the bottom. This is what I need to edit, the showing service information. So I like to go straight to details right to the bottom because this is what I'm going to edit. So there's a couple things you're going to be looking at here. Showing notification methods, showing service. If you have a previous showing system in there, it defaulted to no showing service. So you'll either want to change it to aligned showings or non-MLS showing service if you're using something different, like you're paying for an outside service, or no showing service. Those are all of your options. In this teaching example today, I'm going to do aligned showings, right? That just makes sense for today. When you are also setting up your listing, you need to determine whether or not permission is required to show, yes or no. So if you want the showing agent to ask, can I see your house? You need to leave it at yes. If you don't care that they get your permission, maybe it's a vacant property, you can select no, right? So those are really, really important things that you need to keep in mind of. The showing agents must follow showing instructions. So if that's not adhered to and somebody ends up complaining, or maybe the property owner is not happy about something, that can lead to a violation. So definitely, whatever you do, follow showing instructions. Make sure you have a paper trail. All right, so after you're done making your edits, we're going to save those changes. And that's kind of the gist of changing a listing. Even when you're adding a listing in FlexMLS, those are steps that you have to take. So just a little quick introduction to that process. Any questions on that before I actually start using aligned showings? Okay. All right, so I'm in aligned showing, or I'm in FlexMLS. My client says, hey, let's go see a house. How do I do that? How do I take my client to go see a house? I'm going to start pretty basic, right? I'm sure we all know how to do this, but just humor me. We'll pretend that it's all brand new information. So I have a listing collection set up. Whether or not you had a listing collection or a safe search, or you just did a quick search in FlexMLS, if your client says, hey, let's go see this house, what do? Well, I'm going to look at the house, right? I'm going to look at some information, and then I'm going to scroll towards the bottom and look at those showing instructions. So what is this listing agent asking me to do? This listing agent is saying I need to ask for permission. I need to ask permission through the listing agent. They're using a security system, that's important. I need to ask permission via aligned showings. So that's step number one. I figure out what are the showing instructions. So now that I've figured out what I need to do, I need to go to aligned showings. If your screen is super tiny on FlexMLS, or you have this menu right here, the pictures expanded, what I did was I just kind of deselected that, so I just look at the full report. And you're going to see aligned showings. Otherwise, it may be hidden from you. You're going to have to say more and then find aligned showings that way. So depending on the size of your screen, some of that information is hidden. You have to select more. So I'm going to select aligned showings. What that does is it launches aligned showings. It's a single sign-in process. If you're logged into FlexMLS, it's automatically going to log you into aligned showings. So we have 3 steps. Step 1, date. Select 2, time, and then step 3, send. We're just doing a single showing right now. We will cover multiple showings in a moment. All right, so what did my client and I agree upon? What day do we want to see this house? Well, we're going to see it on Saturday. I also need to determine whether or not this is a first-time showing, a return showing, an appraisal, an inspection, walkthrough. Make sure you designate what it is. There's a little note down here at the bottom that says there's a 7-hour lead time that I need to, for advanced notice requirements. That's okay. I'm not requesting it for today anyway, so that doesn't matter. I'm doing it for Saturday. So this little note down here isn't necessarily relevant to me. But if you are doing same day requests, that is something you'll want to pay attention to, is how much lead time is required.
Will it block out if you do try to do it like in 2 hours? Will it already be blocked out?
Yes, absolutely it will. This is probably just a little FYI before you try and move forward with the process. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to next. We're going to select our time. So I've selected January 13th. Now what I want you to pay attention to is there are two different calendars here. You're not going to see it on my screen, but this is my calendar and this is the property calendar. There's a little dividing line right here, but you're not going to be able to see that. Maybe otherwise. So the first thing I need to identify is where on my calendar did my client and I agree upon. What's even worse about this projector screen is I have some appointments here. You can't see them. They're really, really not clear on this projector. I don't know if I can darken it, or you can come look at it on my computer if you need to. But I already have some appointments going on. So I have another showing appointment at 11 with my clients. I have another one at 1. I have one at 2:30. So my client picked a super busy day. I need to make sure that I'm not overlapping with my other clients. So we're going to go ahead and say 2 o'clock. What I did was I just moved that specific appointment to where I wanted it to be. So I chose 2 o'clock. I also typically get to choose the duration. How much time do I think that I need within this property? So 2 parts here. The listing agent gets to choose your maximum, right? They could have chose a maximum of 30 minutes, and that's what this listing agent did. They chose, hey, I don't think you need any more than 30 minutes. Or they could have said 20 minutes. That means you only get 3 choices available. Or they could have said no restrictions. When we get to listing setup, I'll show you what that looks like as the listing agent. But here in this particular example, the listing agent said, you get 4 choices. You pick what you want. I'm going to choose the maximum 30 minutes that I'm allowed. This might be super important, right? You might want more time available because once you make a route, this is obviously a single listing, but when we start talking about routes, you're going to have a very strict time schedule, right? So in reality, maybe you only need 7 minutes because the property is a dump and you guys are in and out, right? But give yourself that long gap time because you never know if you're going to plug something in. I mean, it's really your choice what you do, but a lot of people don't like their appointments so stacked together so much. It doesn't give them a lot of wiggle room. So requesting a long duration here might be helpful to you. You can choose what works best for you as you start going through and scheduling. Yes, sir?
So I've had trouble, because I'm not very skilled, but it is very sensitive in terms of the times going up and down.
Yeah.
And then I would say I pick 2 and then all of a sudden I'm making an appointment for 2:10. Is there a way to bypass that and just toggle to entering the time, or?
No, but we can request that. I have 2 suggestions. We can request that to development. And the other thing that I might do is just for funsies, try and mess with your mouse sensitivity on your settings. I have that problem sometimes when I'm working inside Flex MLS, like when I'm drawing shapes. So when I'm drawing shapes, I make my mouse sensitivity a little bit less, and that seems to help me. So try that. But it's a good suggestion. It can definitely be added. So instead of dragging, we just say, hey, I want 150 or 205, right? Because I have to be very exact with my mouse. We can edit the request. When we go to the edit mode, I can check that out. I haven't been asked that question, so it's a good one. All right, so we've got 2 o'clock, 30 minutes. It's blinking at me. What do I do next? My next step is I need to send the request. I'm going to go to next. If I have an optional message that I want to send to the listing agent, maybe I want to say something like, a service animal will be with my client. Do I need to say that? No. Is it a good heads up? Sure, absolutely. I'm done. So I've got the date, I've got the time, I'm going to send it. Now these are all test listings, by the way, they're not real places. And you may also see that I'm the listing agent and the showing agent. Fun time for me. In the real world, this is probably not going to happen that often, but just be mindful. I'm not going to be requesting it on real listings. All of those listing agents would be very sad. I don't want that to happen. All right, so since I happen to be the listing agent and the showing agent, let me just show you what an approval looks like. So immediately I got this request. It says, hey, Wendy, Agent Wendy wants to see this house. Do you want to approve it? Do you want to decline it? I'm going to go ahead and approve it. And then I'm gonna say, don't call for details. I'm not gonna be there, my seller's not gonna be there. I don't have a CVS code. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. So outside of the complex. I don't know what word I had there. I'm giving some additional instructions. I'm telling the showing agent, hey, make sure you go to the main gate. This particular community has lots of side gates, and if you try and enter to the side gate, you're not gonna be let in. You have to go through security.
Question.
Yeah.
How is the listing agent being notified?
Lots of different ways. You get a message, you can get an email, you can get a text, you can get a push notification. So we're gonna set that up in settings right now.
Okay,
So,
because I've only received emails.
yep, we should go through your settings and make sure that that's
Nice,
set.
that's what I wanted to know.
All right, so I'm gonna approve this.
2 days later, you get the email, it's like,
Yeah.
that was 2 days ago.
Yeah,
Yep,
you
setting
can't
up
do
the
the
settings is gonna make a difference, for sure. All right, so Wendy, the listing agent, just told Wendy, the showing agent, yep, you can go see this house. It all pretty much happened in real time. All right, so now that I'm in Align Showings, this is kind of what it looks like. We're in the messages area right now, excuse me. The calendar is the heart of Align Showings. So if I click on calendar, or if I click on Align Showings logo, it's always gonna default me to this calendar view. We are gonna talk about it, but for importance sake, I do want to talk about settings next, because that seems to be a topic we want to discuss. And I am going to go through all of these items, probably most important to least important. I'll cover the things that we need to know about right now, and then everything else that's kind of secondary I'll cover towards the end. All right, so let's go to settings. If you're on your device, whether it's your mobile device or your PC, navigate towards the settings, which is on the left-hand side at the bottom. All right, so the first settings that we're going to look at is profile information. Update your photo if you would like to. No worries if you choose not to. Your name and office information is automatically pulling in from Flex MLS. You don't edit this information. So if something here is not right, notify support. They will help you with that. External notification. I'm sorry? Somebody say that? No? Okay. External notification preferences. These are those settings that we were talking about. So the first thing that I want you to do is make sure that your preferred email address is there. If it's your dog's email address, you're probably not going to get those notifications. So make sure it's your primary email address that you use most often. If for some reason your office phone number or your office fax number is listed here, that's no bueno. You're not going to get any notifications via mobile device. So do go through and make sure that it's your preferred mobile phone number. The next area is we're going to be looking at two different worlds, listing agent, showing agent. If you're only a listing agent, then maybe you only need to look at these two options. If you're only a showing agent, then maybe you need to work on these two options.
Your thing doesn't show push notifications up there, but it does on the mobile.
Right, it does.
Because she's on computer.
I understand.
Yeah. So, and also there's a setting inside there that'll say enable push notifications. I just did it earlier this morning, so I set on my push notifications and I started getting them. All right, so as listing agent, as showing agent, I do both listings and showings. I need to make sure that I'm looking at all of these boxes. If I never check my emails, is it going to be important to me to check those boxes? No, I'm just going to text messages. I receive text messages. My phone is always with me. It's important. So I check both of those boxes for text messages. If all you do is check your email, you don't believe in mobile phones, then you want to check email, right? Those are the boxes that are important to you. But if you want all notifications in all forms, you want emails, you want text messages, you want push notifications, you want to receive it in your messages, then you're going to look at all those boxes. Super, super important that you check those settings. If you don't have your device with you today, this would be your number one homework assignment tonight. Check those notification boxes.
I apologize. How to get to the screen? Because I'm in.
If you're in Align Showings, we're going to go towards the bottom, Settings.
Yep, I did that. And
then the settings is Profile.
Profile. Okay.
When you're in Profile, you're going to be in the middle area where it says External Notification Preferences. And if it's still not finding it for you, because I'm going to move on, we can do it after class.
Okay.
Good. All right, after you adjusted your settings, press save. We'll be done with that. The next area is system settings. What we're going to be paying attention to is who on our team do we work with. So we're not talking about an individual listing at this point. We're just looking at people in our office that are potentially on our team. We may work with these people on a handful of listings, all listings, it doesn't matter. This also requires reciprocity. So if I'm going to go through and add my co-listing agent, Natalie also needs to add me into her settings, so that way we have reciprocity on each other's listings. We can both edit.
to do that?
So we're still in settings, and then we're going to go to system.
So it won't download that from the MLS. It won't accept two different people's.
You're going to have the option for a listing agent and a co-listing agent from the MLS. So when you do that, that's just what you're notifying the MLS of. This is for aligned showings. You're just setting up global settings. So anybody that's in your team, you may potentially be adding them to your listings.
If my profile is wrong, I have to get a hold of support to get it changed?
I would recommend you do that because you can't edit it inside aligned showings. If you'd like, you can go to Flex MLS and look at your profile information.
Yeah, it's wrong.
If it happens to be wrong there, it could be your association that edits that information. What are you trying to change?
My address.
Okay, that's an
That's a big
association.
change for a year.
Contact your association. Your association will edit it for Flex MLS. Flex MLS will edit it for aligned showings. What was your question?
When you add someone, will they get a notification that they need to add you as well? Like,
Yeah, they won't get notifications.
Okay, so
That's super tricky.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have to intuitively know reciprocity, right? Because it's not going to notify this person, oh, you've been added or you haven't been added. What's going to happen is they're not going to be able to edit your listing. They may be able to see it.
Just tell your whole team. That
Yeah, hey, Joe Buddy, if we work together, we should talk to each other about it, right?
But it doesn't automatically, if it's on a global setting, it doesn't automatically add everyone on the team to every listing.
No.
All right.
Well, all we're doing is we're saying, who may I potentially work with in my office?
All right.
So I added Natalie, right? I'm going to add Dan. He's a guy that I'm mentoring. So he might work with me for a couple of listings, but he's not going to be sticking around forever. And he's definitely not going to be on all of my listings moving forward.
So this is listing specific?
Nope.
It's not.
This is just your global setup. We're just setting things up. So this may or may not be important to you right now.
It doesn't have to be an agent, it could be an assistant as well.
That's an interesting question, like transaction coordinators. They need to have an MLS ID number. So if they don't have MLS ID numbers, like the DZ001, you're not going to be able to add them. It's a different type of access. Yes?
So you said both, so if you have an assistant that needs to get in and do some stuff too, you need to make sure they add you to theirs and you add them. Okay, I just want to
Exactly.
make sure I understood that.
But
Okay.
the word assistant is tricky, right? So it really depends on their
But
flex.
license agent,
License.
sorry,
Right, gotcha.
another license agent.
Perfect. Another license agent. Perfect. I like that word. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let not want Dan to be notified of showing requests. He's not ready for that yet. He is going to be able to look at my listings though. All right, so at that point I've added a few people. If at any point in time you had a teammate and that person's not on your team anymore or they're not in your office, just make sure you remove them. Or press save. So remember, everything that we're doing right now is kind of setting the stage for future use. It may or may not be relevant to you today at this very moment. I'm saying that because we're going to talk about feedback surveys.
Can you explain when you said, so I added, she's on my team, so I added McKenna. For her to see my listings, what do you mean by that?
I'm going to show you that in just a moment when we go to listing setup. I'll
Okay.
show you what it looks like. All right, so feedback surveys. Now the MLS has a default survey. When you have a listing and you add it and you do your settings, you have three choices. I don't want feedback, I do want feedback, or I want my own feedback form. So I'm going to show you what the MLS survey or the default survey looks like. A couple of questions that came up specifically from this group is, oh, I don't like the default survey, I want my own. Well, here's where we need to be. If you want your own survey added, you need to go to settings, feedback surveys. We're going to add our own survey. I will show you what the default survey looks like. So if you don't like that, then you want to make sure that you have your own created and ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and hit new. All I did was hit that new with the plus sign on the right at the top, and I'm going to give it a name.
So if it's blank, is it automatically the armless one?
If it's blank, it could mean no survey. So you have to choose no survey, MLS survey, the default
I
survey.
don't see that, where is that?
We haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay, I'm ahead of you, sorry.
Yep, we haven't gotten there yet, I promise, we'll get there. Alright, so I'm just showing you what it's like to create my own survey if I wanted my own survey. So if the default survey didn't meet my needs for this particular listing, maybe it's a mansion, maybe it's a luxury estate, maybe it's a she shed, I don't know. You might want to create your own custom survey question. So I'm going to say, did you like the paint? Right? That's not in the default survey, right? I really want to know the answer to this question. So if you're going to choose multiple choice or short answer, multiple choice, they have yes or no options basically. Short answer, they fill in a sentence. So multiple choice I like, I'm going to say option 1 yes, option 2 no, and then I'm going to choose a third option, unsure. If you wanted that short answer question, you're going to do new question, make up your question, select your answer choices. Once you're done, hit create. Now that survey is there and ready for you. You might need to add it to one of your listings in the future. Maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's in 3 months. Who knows? This is just if you want to create your own survey. Privacy and terms. I think you had to acknowledge privacy and terms the first time logging into Align Showings. You do get this document if you need to refer back to it. And it's under privacy and terms. Alright, so we're done with settings. Let's move on to the next important thing that everybody's super excited about, which is My Listings. So I'm going to click on My Listings. So I have one active listing in FlexMLS, and then my coworker, Chelsea, she has a listing in FlexMLS. But what I want you to pay attention to is these symbols up here. So there's an edit button here, there's not an edit button there, which means there's no reciprocity there. Chelsea didn't add me onto this listing, I can't edit it. So you might be able to see it, but you might not be able to edit information. So let's go ahead and look at My Listings. So that way you can see what all the editing features are. I'm going to click on that pencil. So once you've added a new listing to FlexMLS, give it 2, 3, 5 minutes. You need FlexMLS and Align Showings to talk to each other. Once that's done, you click on My Listings, you're going to see that listing that you just added into FlexMLS. If for some reason you have no showing service selected, it's not going to pop up here. You need to make sure that when you're in FlexMLS, you're choosing your showing service as Align Showings. All right, let's edit this. There are 5 different things that we can edit. Not everything is mandatory. So 3, 4, and 5, those are optional steps. Of course, I'm going to cover them all for you today. I want you to know how to edit everything and how to use the system to your advantage. Are you going to be always editing everything for every listing? Maybe not. All right, so listing setup, section 1. Do you want to allow for overlapping appointments? This is your choice. You and your clients get to decide this. So overlapping appointments is, can 3, 10, 100 people all make an appointment at Saturday at 10 a.m.? If that's the case, you want to have it selected as yes. I do want overlapping appointments. If your client's like, nope, I want it to be staggered, then nope, select no.
You skipped the first one, allow property to be shown. Is that something you set up in the listing, or?
That's set up from FlexMLS. So you don't have control over that button because you selected Align Showings as your showing system. So once you select Align Showings as your showing system, that automatically defaults over. And it's basically saying, allow property to be shown, yes, right? Because you're using this showing system.
But it doesn't say yes in here.
If it doesn't, you need to go and check your listing setup because you might have no showing service.
It says yes, but there's no, okay.
There's no X. If it's grayed out and it says no, does it say no or does it say
It says yes, but it's grayed out.
Yeah, you can't mess with it.
Yeah.
That's why I skipped it. 'Cause you
It
can't
just
edit
scares me like all of a sudden nobody can see my listing.
it. No, it's set up in
I hate
FlexMLS.
this already, I really hate.
Well, it has a button on the mobile.
Okay,
Like change.
I can look at that later.
Like showing time.
All right, overlapping appointments we took care of. Maximum appointment length. Remember when I was doing my first single showing, I told you as the listing agent I get to choose how much time I think you need in this property. So I could choose none. You can choose any time you want. I have no preferences. Maybe my client says, hey, there's no reason why anybody needs more than an hour in my house. So you can go through and choose what you want for the maximum appointment length. Default is 30 minutes. How are requests handled? Is it an instant approval? Is it required approval? If you're familiar with the other showing system, that was called Show and Go. A lot of people I've seen this selected for vacant properties, right? You might want to give instant approval. However, if your property is occupied, maybe you want to make sure you're approving a request. So yes, you can see this house. No, you can't see this house.
So does it have like the other, like Showing Time had where it needed 2 hours notice and it wouldn't allow you to make?
Yep. Let me get to that part.
Okay, I just want to make sure that wasn't in this section.
You're all good. No worries. That's like 3 more steps.
Okay.
This is obviously going a little bit slow because I'm in a training environment. When you're doing this in real world, it might go a little bit faster for you. All right, so instant message to agent. This is an optional step. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. I kind of think of this as like an out of office. So all I'm doing is saying, hey, I check all my showing notifications every 2 hours. Or maybe I want to say hourly. Or maybe I want to say twice a day, right? You do what you want. Whether you want to leave an instant message, so after they send a request, they're going to get that instant notification saying, hey, Wendy checks her account twice daily. So I can definitely count on the fact that towards the end of the day, I'm going to get a notification that she's either going to approve or deny my request.
I wanted to ask you, it's right below the instant message, it says none on our side, and it doesn't show up on your side.
It says
instant
It
approval?
says lockbox.
That's lockbox, yeah. Access.
Are we talking about instant approval or lockbox access?
No, we're still, when we're changing the duration at the time where it says 30 minutes, we just change that and then we push instant approval, and then underneath it says none.
Yeah, for the instant approval, you won't have that. This is for required approval only.
Okay.
So if you're requiring the showing agent to say, no, ask me to see this house, yes or no, I have to answer.
Oh, okay, got it.
So if they're waiting for an answer from you, having an instant reply saying, hey, I got your request,
Okay.
just gives people peace of mind. It's totally up to you though, you don't have to do that.
She says that she doesn't get the notification directly to her phone, and
It's like in the emails and I missed it, and then when I look back, it's expired.
Make sure you can talk to me after class and we can look at it because it could be one of those settings things that I need to look at.
Okay.
All right, so we're on lockbox. So I have an electronic lockbox. If I don't have an electronic box, I can do the combo box and I can give the code. Or if I have no lockbox, I can choose no lockbox. However, if I have an electronic one, I get to have many choices on what type of electronic box it is. I'm going to keep it on Supra for this example. The next thing, showing arrangements. Agent will accompany. What does that mean? That means I'm telling you, the showing agent, expect to see me there. I'm the listing agent. I'm going to be there for that showing. If you see the box checked, seller will accompany, what that means is you can expect to see the owner of the property at the house while you're doing the showing. Does that happen for anybody? I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but that's kind of, I don't know, creepy, I guess. We're walking behind you all the time. So maybe they are going to be there. So if you see that box checked, that's what you can anticipate. In these particular instances, I'm not going to be there. Neither is my client. Request that all agents, request that all showing agents call for listing agent. Maybe you need to ask a couple of questions before you approve this showing, right? Do they have pre-approval paperwork? Are they serious about this property? There's a ghost in the attic. I don't know. Whatever you think you need to tell them. If you're requesting callback, that means before you approve it, you want them to call you so you can do some follow-up. So if you check that box, that's what that means. Additional instructions. This way, once you send your approval request, so again, this is after approval. So after you send your approval request, if you have a CBS code, it might be a good idea to put your CBS code there. That way they don't have to contact you again and get it. If you have some special directions about the property, or hey, make sure you turn down the lights or set the AC, those would be a good example of notes for additional instructions after approval. Advance notice requirements, lead time, this is what I was talking about. You can do 0, all the way up to 72 hours, and you can disable same day requests. So no matter what, you can never request the same day. In this instance, I'm going to do 2 hours. when I previously sold my house, this is what I needed. That's why I'm using this as an example. I had dogs, I worked full time, I needed to make sure that I got off work, went home, took the dogs out. I needed at least 2 hours before somebody came to show my house. So 2.5 hours works for me. You do what works for you and your clients. All right, so that's the listing setup section 1. Any questions on that before I move over?
So once you edit this on one listing, does it save this as a default for all listings?
No, every listing has its own
Every
listing
listing
setup.
you have to do this.
But you only have to do it once.
But if you don't like that, like if that's not convenient for you,
Every listing.
One time per listing. right?
Oh, yeah.
so what I was going to suggest to you is one of the things that we can do later on, towards the end of the class, I'm going to show you is how to submit feedback to the aligned showings people, the development team. So this is an in-house product. We made it. We can change it. If there are lots of features that agents are like, oh, I want to see this added, I'd like to be able to do listing setup and set it for all.
Right.
You can request that and they can see about changing it. For example, this lead time. Initially, when it was developed, we only had 24-hour lead time. Everybody was like, this has to change, it's stupid, blah, blah, blah. So what they do, they made 72 hours lead time. So there's constantly things being updated as per agent requests. If there's something that you don't like or you want to see it do something, we need to send a request and let development know. Let's make this change.
Is this an Arizona only product? Or is
No,
this
actually it's MLS aligned, development, developed it. Air MLS happens to be one of the co-owners. I think there's 3 owners, but I'm not sure.
Did they come up with this knowing showing time was getting sold to Zillow or?
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. They're not very convincing.
I do know that once Zillow announced their purchasing showing time, that caused some concern for agents, brokers, MLSs.
You think?
So once that announcement happened, I think that maybe some people thought about what other options are there.
So are there some options that are per se trademarked by showing time that we may not be able to use?
Yes, that could be the
That's
case.
what I thought.
Yeah. So for example, just for funsies, there used to be a little button right here. I couldn't even get that word out.
Set showing?
Yeah. Showing time paid extra for that integration, so they can make it easier for you to do showing time. Maybe you want that feature, like, hey, this old listing service did this, and I want to see it added. Well, we can submit it.
So is aligned showings on there too as well?
It is. It's just you have to go to more and select aligned showings.
Can you drag it into the top?
You know, that's a great question. Somebody asked that in my last class yesterday.
No.
That's actually a Flex MLS thing, right? So Flex MLS has its design.
Right.
Could we ask to change the design? Sure, but I don't know how many agents are asking that. So far, you're the second. So yeah, we can do that. You just gotta submit the request. All right, so next one, office involvement. So on my individual listing, this listing here, who on my team am I having involved in this listing? Remember I said Natalie and I, we're co-listing agents. We work together on everything. So I'm definitely going to be adding her to this listing. I definitely want her to be notified of showing requests so she can approve them as well. I got my broker. I'm going to add my broker, but they're busy. I don't want to notify them of showing requests. So basically anybody on your team, whether it's your co-listing agent, a teammate, if you guys are in a team's environment where you guys do everything together, that might be a good idea. This is super teams friendly. However, if it's you solo, then maybe you don't need to add all these people, right? It's up to you. I'm done. I'm not going to add anybody else. All right. Now we're moving on to the optional steps. Seller, tenant involvement. So, do you want your seller to have involvement? Is there a tenant in the property that might need to be involved in this process? This is an optional step. You can further pursue this avenue or just leave it as is and move on to the next area. I'm going to go ahead and add my seller. My seller, Cole, he's already in my database. So once I start typing his name, I've added him previously, so he's already popping up for me. I am going to show you how to add a new person. So I need to identify, is Cole going to be able to approve showing requests? So he, as the seller, can approve showing requests. Can he just see the request, just get notifications only, or nothing? We haven't decided Cole's level of involvement. We're going to talk about it later. So there happens to be a tenant in this property. I'm going to go ahead and add my tenant in. My tenant's name is Kelly. Kelly doesn't automatically pop up, right? She's not there. I have to add her. So let me just add Kelly's information. Gotta spell it right. Once I'm done adding this information, Kelly will be in my client database. And then I will show you a little bit later on how to export this information if you need to put it in Flex or a CRM.
The aligned database, what database does Kelly go into?
Yep, that's what I just said. It's going only into aligned showings. I will show you eventually how to export that information if you want to export it to a CRM or Flex MLS. So I haven't gotten that far. I'm just adding her in as a potential seller or tenant. Make sure you're checking the right box here. Is Kelly a seller? Is Kelly a tenant? Kelly's a tenant. I'm going to go ahead and add her. Now that I've gotten Kelly added to the aligned showing section for seller-tenant involvement, I need to then determine how is Kelly being involved. Is she getting notifications? Can she approve? Nothing? I'm going to say notifications only, and we're going to choose via text message because I added in her phone number. So as a tenant, I want Kelly to be notified from me, from the homeowner, from a text message, right? There should be no stone unturned when it comes to Kelly knowing about when a showing is going to happen. So she's out of there. All right, if you're done with that process, hit done. And by the way, your client's page is static. They do not necessarily have an interactive aligned showings. It just basically shows them all the appointments, and if they have the access to approve, they can approve or deny it. Your question?
So I have a question, because I had a client, a listing, seller communicated with the buyer's agent. How did that happen?
Seller communicated.
So
the
maybe
seller of the listing, which would be your client,
right.
reached out to the
buyer's agent about a showing
agent
and texted him. So I'm thinking maybe she grabbed the card that was on the counter. They don't have the ability to send a message through aligned showings. Okay, that was
just for you and your client, yeah.
Okay, so they can approve or not approve, or notify or not notify, but they have no interaction within a line.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
They don't have that agent's information?
No.
Okay. Oh.
No, I'll show you what it looks like, so that way you can kind of see the static page.
But sometimes, like on showing time, if they could type a message.
Yeah.
None of that.
No, it's just static. They can just look. All right, so that was seller-tenant involvement. Remind me to show that part because I sometimes forget about it. It's in a different area, so I'll make sure I show that to you. We're going to go to done.
What part are we reminding you
Which
about?
is showing, yeah, remind me to show you what the static page looks like. It's in a different area. Sometimes I just gloss over that, and it's important for this particular class. All right, so time and date restrictions. My client is getting their carpets cleaned on Friday. I don't want anybody to show on Friday. So I'm going to go ahead and set up an all-day restriction. So we're going to go ahead and just leave it on specific date. I'm going to choose Friday. It's asking me right here, is it an all-day restriction? Choose yes or no. In this case, I'm choosing yes. I don't want anybody to show this property on Friday the 12th. And click add time and date restriction. Now it's there. So even if somebody did try and request it, it's going to show them in red. Nope, sorry, you can't request this day. I'm going to add a recurring one. So my client tells me, hey, I have office meetings every Monday through Friday from 9 to 11. I work from home. I don't want it to, even go that route. I don't want anybody knocking on my door. My dogs will bark, blah, blah, blah. All right, so let's add a restriction for recurring. So not specific date, we're going to make it recurring. Choose the days of the week. In this case, my client said Monday through Friday. It's asking me, is this an all-day restriction? Toggle to no and pick your times. My client said 9 to 11. I'm going to go ahead and click on add time and date restriction, and now that restriction is there. I've got an example of an all-day restriction for the carpet cleaning and then recurring appointments Monday through Friday. I'm going to hit done on that.
Okay, does it look like it's just blocked out, or does it say it's a restriction?
It's blocked out in red. You won't be able to book at all. And I'll show you what that looks like when we go through and do a route. All right, so feedback surveys. This is something that we're touching base on from previously. Remember, we went through and set up our own survey. This is where you choose on your individual listing, what survey do I want, if any. So the first question is, do I want to allow feedback or allow feedback? If the answer is no, you don't want feedback, you're done. There's nothing else you need to do. If the answer is yes, I do want feedback, you have two choices. Do I want the MLS default survey? If the answer is yes, toggle to yes. And here's what it looks like. Did your client like the property? And this is not something that you can modify. So if you like some aspects of this, but not all of them, what I would recommend you do is copy and paste those questions and then move it into your own survey, and then you can add and modify the questions that you want. So, did your client like the property? Did your client feel the listing was priced appropriately? Is your client considering making an offer on this property? Is your client considering another showing of this property? What was your client's favorite aspect of the property? So those are the 5 default questions. If that's not comprehensive or doesn't meet your needs for this particular property, you're going to toggle to no, and then use your own survey that you created. Right? So I previously made a survey, and that's the one I'm going to use. Yes, ma'am?
You said you've gotten feedback from agents that they don't like that specific survey. Is there things that you've gotten on
They
there?
like to modify it. They don't like that per se, but they want maybe some questions to be leave a sentence or a short answer.
Okay, so it's just their personal preference.
Yes, exactly. So if that's the case, if you're like, oh, I like some of these questions, but I don't like all of them, the natural course would be to make your own survey. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like if the price was right, things like that.
Yeah, if it was a price appropriate. I think that was a question though. Anyway, you can make your own. So I'm going to go ahead and use my own survey, hit done, and I'm done. Listing setup is completely done with this particular listing. All right, let's move on to another area. Are there questions before I move on to another area? Okay. All right, this one's going to be routes. Routes is pretty important, and it's a time saver. I never want you to be in a situation where you think, all of the appointments you have to schedule, you have to do them all one by one. If you and your clients are going to go see 10 houses in a day, that sounds terrible. So let's work smart and not hard. Let's go ahead and make a route. We start in Flex MLS. So you do your search. You maybe create a listing collection, or you have a saved search, wherever you're operating from, right? I'm going to be working off my listing collections because it's super important that I'm requesting showings on my ARMLS test listings. I don't want any real agents out there to think I'm going to go show their house. All right, so on my test listings, I've got three houses that me and my client can go see. And you might always be in this view, right? If you're in this view, that works. If you're in the list view, this works. You do what works best for you. Maybe you're on the map or the photos. All right, so out of the 5 houses available, we're going to go see 3. We're going to start off with 3 houses. Maybe for funsies, my client will tell me 2 days from now, after I've already created my route, hey, this new house just came on the market, let's go see this one, and add it into our existing appointments. I'm sure that's a real thing and it happens in the real world, so I'll show you how to do that. Yes, did you have a question?
I'm lost.
Okay.
Could you go back
So either do a quick search.
So I'm at my listings. I'm going to
Okay.
just do
Yeah.
test it out. So I'm at my listings.
So if you're on your listings, like the listing collections, is that what you're talking about?
No, I just went to my listings because I want to do a test.
You want to do it for your own listings?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay, so just type in, do you have more than one listing?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you'll want to do is, that's a tough one. I usually don't do it from my listings.
I just want to do
You'll
test.
want to make a listing collection or a saved search for your listings. So that way they're kind of segregated together and not under your listings. So you can do that by just typing your ID numbers, the MLS ID numbers at the top. But again, if you can stick around after, if it doesn't work, we can do it together. All right, so I'm doing these 3 listings. And how do I request a route? It's not the same as what we did previously. That little icon for align showings is not there. You have to click the 3 dots. 3 dots, align showings. So if you did take this class, you might not have known that right away. It must have been really not fun. I'm so sorry. So 3 dots, align showings. It's going to launch align showings. And it's going to ask me to give my route a name. And before I move even further, you're going to see right here, one of the listings right away is telling me, hey, you have some kind of a restriction. Just FYI, be careful. So that's okay. It's not a problem for me, because I'm not choosing this as my date anyway, right? My clients and I, we want to go see houses on Saturday or Sunday. Let's go ahead and do Sunday. So I need to give it a name. I'm going to call this Christian's Showings. And then we're doing Saturday. What did I say Saturday was the 14th? Let's hope that's right. All right, so we're doing Saturday the 14th. I gave it a name. When do we want to start? Well, my client says he's an early bird. He wants to get started at 10 a.m. All right, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and press next. And everything that I'm going to do for the next couple of minutes, it's all set up. Until I press this button, it's hiding, you can't see it yet. But until I press this button, add to route, the listing agents are not getting any kind of notifications. So this is my opportunity to edit my route, make adjustments to times, add different pieces of information. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to leave it right here for now because I'm going to be playing around a little bit. And remember, these are not real places in Yuma, Arizona. So it's telling me it's going to take me 62 minutes to get from this place to this place. So that's not going to be fun. All right, we're going to go ahead and hit create and schedule a route. I'm not done yet. I'm still adjusting and making edits and making my route the best it is for me and my clients.
How did you get the travel time?
Yeah.
It shows you that automatically when you're scheduling. Okay, well, I'll plop it up again and it should show us that information. One more thing I need to do is I need to pick up my client from their house. So these are the 2 listings that we want to go see, but I need to pick them up, or we're meeting at Starbucks before we head out of town. So I'm going to click add stop, and you need to click on non-MLS appointment, non-MLS stop. I'm going to type in their address or the Starbucks location that we're meeting at, or maybe it's my office that we're meeting at, whatever is good for you and your safety. In this case, I'm picking up my client at their house. They're in Tempe. I clicked on next. Now, 2 things that's happening. It added it automatically to the end, but we don't want that. Remember, I'm picking my client up, so we're going to pick them up first. And because my client lives in Tempe, and we're going to Yuma, that's a 200-minute drive. So I have to start my day at 6 o'clock in the morning if I want to make this happen. Yay! All right. So I'm picking up my client at their house. I'm going to add stop. I'm going to do it again. We're going to stop for lunch, or we're going to stop at Starbucks and get some coffee. I'm going to click on add stop. I'm going to call this a non-MLS stop. The cool thing about this is I'm not familiar with Yuma, but once I start to type in Starbucks or Panda Express, right, it's going to automatically find the Panda Expresses in Yuma, which is awesome and helpful for me. So I don't have to think about it. I'm just going to choose this one. Again, it's plugging it into the bottom. You need to make sure that you're moving it up. We're going to see 1, 2 houses. No, we're going to see 1 house. And then I want to plug in lunch. I'm going to move these appointments down a little bit so that way I can say we're going to take a 45-minute lunch break. So I'm just moving, I'm just editing, I'm adjusting as needed, not only for the duration that I need for the properties, I'm also moving in some time for my lunch break and travel time. So you can see here, I still have a 15-minute window. Maybe one of the roads is closed, right? So I'm still giving myself a little bit of time in between travel time before I get to the next destination. I'm going to click add stop. If I don't like that, I can manually edit by clicking reorder route. I can always click on fastest route. So if I add a stop in, and I'm going to do that once we add another listing. If I click on fastest route, it's still going to tell me, well, this is how you're going to get to these locations. And for fun, I'm going to choose a real listing that's maybe in Chandler. All right, so let's pretend I like this. I'm gonna create this route. I've got my client pickup, I've got my showings in there, I've got stop for lunch. I'm gonna go ahead and click request appointments. This is done. You're pretty much set in stone. Once you click that button, the listing agents for the properties that you wanna go see are now being notified you are requesting showings. So you're kind of locked
I'm
into
gonna
this
go back,
time.
because I just pulled up an old list of mine, just to
Yes.
see. So I put in the 3 listings, I had it in a collection, clicked on the 3 dots, I pulled them up, and then if I wanted to add like where my client, picking my client up, then you go to the add the route. I didn't see, I missed.
Yeah, it was not, it was,
a non-listing where I
add stop, non-MLS stop.
I don't see that on mine. That's, you
Okay.
don't see it either? Okay.
Okay, we're gonna do it again.
Okay.
No worries.
Okay.
Yes, sir?
So, but just for clarification, when you're on your mobile app, it's one at a time.
No,
There-
you can set up a route.
I see how to set up a route, but once you have a route set up, you can't add, I don't see how to add to the route.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Okay?
So if you have your mobile device with you, you can try and do it, or we can talk about it after
I
class.
tried it, I couldn't.
Yeah, let's do it after class.
Alright.
Alright, so I've set up this route. How do I see where my routes are? Here are my upcoming routes. All I did was click on routes. And I've got the one that I created yesterday and then the one that I created today. Let's go ahead and look at the one that I already created. I'm gonna go to route details. So you can see I have 3 appointments on here and the listing agents have already approved 2 of them. So yay for me, that's awesome. I'm ready to go if I wanna go see these houses on Saturday.
Do you have to go in there to know that it's approved, or will it let you know on your email?
On the
also?
calendar, and you'll get an email,
Okay,
and you'll get a
perfect.
push
Okay.
notification, yeah.
Okay.
So you'll get a notification that this request has been approved.
Okay, perfect.
Is there a minimum travel time that shows up? Because I put 4 listings in one area and it's not showing me a travel time.
If it's in one area, like they're all in the same neighborhood,
Yeah.
it's not going to give you that large duration because it's not far. So that's why. It should tell you when you're looking at the route, like how much travel time you need. Like if you look on the right-hand side where it says destination A, it's going to take me 68 minutes to get to the next destination.
So will it give you like a smart route, like Showing Time did?
Yep.
Fastest route.
Do you know
The
why you
fastest
can't?
route?
Do you know why you can't cancel a approved showing within your routes? Like right there where it says requested cancel showing, and then above it says approved. There's no option to cancel that if.
Oh, that's a good point. Because I was about to say, I'm like, yeah, you can do cancel.
Because I ran into where like there was like a time problem, so I'm like, all right, well let me cancel this one, but I can't cancel this
You
one,
can't
so I had to
cancel it
cancel the
either.
whole thing.
Did you figure
and
out
then
how to cancel it outside of the route?
I had to cancel the whole route and then redo all the.
Let's do an experiment real quick. So this is 1:13.
Very frustrating.
I almost broke my laptop.
So that January 13th. Go ahead and have a daily view. Alright, so let's say this one, I'm assuming it's this one and this one that were on my route. I'm gonna click on it and see if I can cancel it from here.
Yeah, you can go into that one and then cancel it, but you can't do it within that route one.
Okay, so you can cancel it. You didn't necessarily have to cancel the whole route, but is that what we're talking about? Right, because I didn't want you to cancel the whole route. I would hate for you to be in that situation moving forward. What we can do is, again, I had mentioned what we need to submit to development, and I think that's a great suggestion. We should do that. Yes, ma'am?
I just did the route, and then there's like A, I, B, which means that there's something that's not going in order. Is there something, you know how like Showing Time had it, like you could drag it and then the map is there and it adjusts, it doesn't.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that real quick.
Okay.
So if you're not seeing what I'm seeing, then let's make sure we talk about it, but yes, you can do that. Alright, so I wanted to go into one of those routes that I created. I'm going to go into Cole's, and remember I said Cole found a listing that just popped on the market today. He wants to add it into the existing route. I've already set up this route. I've already got some showings there. Okay, great. What do I need to do? I'm going to add a showing. So I'm going to click on Add Showing. I'm going to either type in the MLS ID number or the property information, whatever you have available. Remember, I'm looking for these weird test listings in Yuma, Arizona, so I just typed in the word Yuma to make my life easier. And I'm not going to do it for the real ones, that would be so sad. Alright, so here we go, here's my test listing. So this one, let's just say hypothetically, just popped on the market today. My client says, hey, let's go see this. We're going to Yuma, let's add this house in. What I did was I clicked on add showing. I found that property, I selected that property that I want to go see, and I'm going to hit schedule showing. I lied. Hold on. Details. Add a stop. Sorry about that, guys. Add a stop. The directions are almost the same from there. Add a new appointment. So not MLS stop. A non-MLS stop is like their house, your office, Starbucks. We're going to click on add stop, add new appointment. All right, now this is where the directions are the same. Sorry about that. I hate giving bad information because then you get that imprinted into your brain.
Or if someone has selected no showing service, you'd have to add that listing address in there.
Yeah, you can do that, absolutely. We were doing that a lot with when we had the 2 showing services going at the same time. So if you had 1 with the old system and then 5 with the new system, you could integrate it. So, all right, so now we're gonna find that listing. Here it is. Add to route. So I know I'm in the right area because it says add to route. I've got 1 listing. If it's 2, 3, 5, 10 houses, you can do that. It's going to say, well, where do you want to plug this in? Is this the right route? Yes, this is the one for Cole. We're doing it on Saturday, January 13th. So it's just confirming the information. It's giving me a little error that this is not a real place. So don't mind me. This is correct. This is not a real house. It doesn't exist. So it's having problems adding it to the route.
And then it'll let you select the time. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I still want to add this if it will let me. Oh, it's already there. That's why. Let's choose another one. Sometimes using the test listings is awesome, and sometimes it's not.
Have you seen an error that says this listing should be added on the same date? It's saying that it's not added on the same date, but it is.
It could be having to do that lead time where it's telling you this listing isn't allowing you to do a same day showing. I would want you to clarify for sure what that language is so I can answer the question.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let me find another test listing. Hopefully this one will work. Finally, okay. So all of those other listings that I was using, they were already in my route. So it was telling me, hey, you can't do this. So that one new house that I just added, the one for $1, it says it just has been added. It's not requested yet. I can still go through and edit for fastest route. So if I click on edit for fastest route, I just need to choose, well, what house is going to be first? Let's go ahead and do this rental. And then it's going to recalculate. Miss right here in the second row, you guys are talking about the ABCs. If you look on the map, it should be telling you location A, location B, location C, and then plotting that all on the map. These are kind of clustered together because it's all overlapping. So now I just see A and B. Here's A and B. Is that what you're finding?
Yeah, and then can I like drag and...
Right. So if you want to reorder your route,
Yeah.
you can't necessarily, this is why that preliminary setup is important. It's not a good idea that you reorder after you've gotten some approvals. So if you have appointments that are approved, you need to cancel them and then re-request them. So anything that's already been approved.
So that was, I
just
guess that was a question I had. You can't go in there and request a new time like you could in showing time. You actually have to cancel it. Okay, so that was where I was coming up.
And if you like that feature, let's request it. So
Okay, because that is a nice feature
Yeah.
where because you get like as you're putting this together as an agent, right? You've got them all and you sent them out, and then somebody will be like, "Oh, my client now says they can't do it at this
Exactly.
time." I mean, like life happens, right?
Exactly,
And then you have to it was really clunky, so that would be important to.
I think that's a great feature, absolutely, that you'd be able to re-request, inside that area. You can edit, but once it's been requested, sometimes you're completely locked in,
Yeah,
right?
you are locked in.
So that agent or that property owner may say, well, no, sorry, I'm going to Europe at 3 o'clock. You can't show after this.
You can reschedule it through the app though, right?
You can reschedule it through the app. Well, if you have a route created, you have to cancel that if you're not gonna make that appointment and re-request. That's a conversation I would have with the listing agent, right? So if you're gonna be outside of your appointment window, either too early or too late, cancel it and re-request. Have that conversation with the listing agent. Always follow the instructions, yes.
So previously you had tried to add a listing that was already on your route. But let's say, for example, your first listing was your client's favorite home and they wanted to go and take a look at it for a second time. Are you saying you're not able to add that, or do you have to like do it some other way?
Say it again.
That's an interesting
Say it
question.
again.
You would have
So
to
say-
send another appointment, right? Or
So
not?
say your first listing, you show the properties, and your client, that's my favorite listing, I want to go take a second look. When she was doing her demonstration, they're saying that home was already in your route and she wasn't able to add it for another showing. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious if there's...
So, I have an answer for you.
Okay.
Once that event has happened, that route gets moved to the past.
Okay.
You can't edit a past route, it's done. So that time or that period, so Tuesday at, 7 a.m., right?
But if it's on
Secondly,
your
it's
route...
going to be a second showing.
Okay.
So you would want to re-request a showing appointment. If this was me in my world, if I was a showing agent, I'm gonna send that request, have it in writing. I'm not gonna call the listing agent and say, oh, my client really liked the house. Can we swing by again at 3 o'clock? If you show up and the homeowner's there because the listing agent didn't communicate that, and who gets the violation? You do. Because there's nothing in writing that says you are coming by for a second showing appointment. So regardless, whatever happens, even if you're in that situation where your client says, oh, I want to go see this house again, for a second time today, or I want to go see it a third time, always schedule that appointment.
Yeah, but you should be able to at least just put in here like, I'm going to be like, your last appointment's 3 o'clock. Hey, I'm going to swing by the next house. Let's do it at 4 o'clock. You're saying you can't do that in this...
I would just schedule the appointment and not add it to a route. So,
But you can't add it... But I'm saying you can't add it to a route if it's already on.
On the route.
Like,
You
you're
can't add it for a second time.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
what
that's
you're
exactly
saying?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not letting
No,
me add
it
it
won't let
for
you.
the second time. So it's like, oh, you're seeing this house at 11. It gave me that error code. You can't see this house again.
Shouldn't you be able to?
In that one route.
Because sometimes
Should
you
be
have
able
two
to?
clients.
That's the question. If you like that feature, ask for it, and we can get it added. So if this is, to be honest, this is the first time someone's asked me about it, you two gentlemen, right? So there could be real world features that you guys do and use in your everyday life that's not here. And if it's not here, raise your voice, right? Ask for it, get it added. For me, I don't think that I would do that because I would want a separate showing request and I would want it in writing so I get that approval from the listing agent.
But wouldn't it be in writing even if you requested it for a second time?
Nope.
But if they added that feature, it would be.
Mm,
So if they added that
So they'd
feature
have
and
to
you went
prove
to
it.
add it
Duplicate,
again,
like,
it
say
would
something
be.
like duplicate showing and then change the time.
Yeah.
You can ask for that, but it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be the same request. It would be a completely different
That's what I'm
request.
saying, but it would still be in writing because it'd be a whole new, like, if you showed it at 11 and your client's like, this is my favorite one, then you go back at 3 and you request to see it again at 3, it would be in writing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you've requested again, correct?
It's not
Yeah.
present.
But it's not hard to just do a request,
You just have to
right?
request a new route, right, and add it.
You don't
add
have to do a
showing
new
to-
route. You just
I know.
do that single showing.
Why,
You
yeah,
just
why,
say something
why
like,
would you guys want to add it to the route is I'm not getting.
Right.
You just do a
So I'm
single
just saying,
showing.
if you're on the route and you're just like, hey, let's do this one more time. Like say at your second showing, you're like, hey, I really want to go back to that one. Yeah, let's do it at the end.
okay, so we're assuming that everything is going in your favor, right?
Well, I mean,
There's
it's
lots of
realistic
other-
situations.
But there's lots of other nuances that you're not accounting into, which is probably why it's not designed that way. So first off, you have to send the request. Secondly, the listing agent has to say yes or no. Third, the homeowner has to say yes or no. So there's lots of other mountains you have to climb before you even get to that second showing. And I'm just talking in theory, right? Maybe the homeowner is really particular. Maybe their child's going to bed at 3 for a nap and they're like, no, sorry, we can't show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, like, I'm just trying to find the workaround. Is it you have to do a single showing?
Yeah, the workaround is
request?
just do another single showing.
Okay, just not
I
add.
think that at this point, we're making that process too difficult, right? Sure, I can see the value of it being in the past route. Maybe you want to keep a record or a history. But the time is gone for that route. It puts it in the past, just make another showing request, because you're gonna do a second showing anyway. Yes?
When you click the create and schedule a route, that's not scheduling those times right there, is it?
That's just taking you to the next page.
That's
what I
just
was
taking,
confused with.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to click that button because these are real listings.
Right, don't
So-
click the button for request appointments, the blue one on it, the green one.
But you can do create and schedule route.
This way it comes to here next, then you hit that button.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, questions, yeah.
I haven't requested any of the appointments and I can't reroute it. For some reason it's not allowing me.
Okay, I'll have to probably look at it. Yeah,
I
because
went ahead and did it.
when we're in a teaching environment, it's probably
I
already been
didn't want to
overtime.
cancel all of
So if we can just look at it after class, that would be good.
What,
All right.
what
Yes.
happens if a status changes once the route has been set up?
Very good.
So if it's active and it goes to pending,
Yeah.
It's gonna be up to the listing agent to cancel that showing, and then it'll notify you.
Should automatically, but it doesn't change.
should it
It's like showing
automatically?
time,
I don't know if
really.
it does automatically, and I'm thinking that it doesn't, because what I can do as the listing agent, I'll go ahead and leave this page, is I have this option for a broadcast message. I can send a broadcast message out to all showing agents that are associated with this listing, anybody that's ever been associated with this listing in a showing setting, and say, hey, it's gone from active to pending. Or, hey, now accepting final and best offers. Or, don't show today, this house is flooded.
Yeah.
Right? Or I contact all those listing agents individually. But when an agent makes a change, a status change in Flex MLS, is it not instant? Right? It's an instant process. So you should get that notification, yes.
So we have agents that are out and about doing their route thing, right? And they drive down the street, they find our listing, and they're like, oh my gosh, I gotta get in to see this house. But they're fumbling around on a line showing, so they call a listing agent. Hey, can I go in and show your house? But we as listing agents, can we add them?
And I think that was a old system feature, the other system that did that. If you like that, let's request it, right?
Well, it is because it's not us showing it, but we get the, block out
but the
time.
system shows that you are the one requesting the showing and not that listing or that showing agent. So when if that showing agent or the client, robs the homeowner, who's responsible for that? You are, because it's your name.
Exactly.
So, get yourself out of that liability and say, nope, if you don't know how to use line showings, then, and that puts you in a weird situation.
Yeah, we
you
want to
wanna
sell a
help
house,
them.
so that's just.
You want to help them.
You can still.
Don't look at
Sellers sure it's we're showing.
Maybe facilitate a call with support, because literally it's not a lot of fumbling. All they would have to do is, if they're in a line showings, go to add a showing, type in that address or ID number, and it's easy as that. Once they finish that process, takes them 30 seconds, you get the request immediately.
Or on the map, like,
Or on the map.
they can see where they're at exactly, and they.
I've
and the
been there
listing
though,
pops up.
and with no Wi-Fi, and you're sitting there going, "Oh, come on, go through."
Yeah,
So I've been out there.
when the transition happened, I was like, wait, what is this? What is this Align thing? So I had to call the agent and find out if I could get in and
I
probably.
did the same thing.
It was just, it was like, oh my god, what's happening?
Right. Everybody gets notifications from ARMLS via email. I'm sure you guys get a bajillion emails every single day. Check that you're getting those emails. You might have accidentally opted out from receiving emails from ARMLS, and a lot of those important emails are going there.
So when you say ask for, sorry.
Hold on, real quick, yes.
I didn't know, because showing time had like a showing card type of deal where it was easy to kind of select which ones you wanted.
Did you say cart?
Yeah, showing card, right? I didn't know that Align Showing has kind of the same feature where you're able to look up an address and then click select, and then look up another address, click select, and then look up another address and then click select, and it adds it to that.
We're calling it a route,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Showing time called it a cart.
Yes.
So that could be proprietary for them, right?
Right.
So it's a route.
So I didn't know that, but
but
thank God it has that.
Yeah,
I was
good.
like,
Yeah, and that's a lot of, when Kelly sent me the request to teach this class, a lot of those questions came in. Every question that you guys are asking are common questions, and it's really, until you start using it or taking the training that you learn, oh yeah, that does exist, it's just called something different, or what have you. But anyway, in the interest of time, I do want to get through a few more things. So I'm gonna kind of pause all questions unless it's a dire emergency. I promise I'll answer it for you, but I want you to be fully trained up. So what time did we start? We started at 1:30, so we're supposed to end at 3 o'clock. Okay. All right, so support. I have beat this topic to death, but if you have something that you want to see added, go to the support tab, click on feedback for aligned showings. Here the development team will determine whether or not they can get it added, or maybe you're reporting a bug, right? Or you want to see an enhancement. I want to see an enhancement and I want this to be fixed, right? Or I want this feature to be available. Send that. The more people that send requests in, the faster it gets moved up the list, the faster it gets added. So don't forget about that. Don't make the assumption that because you talk to me about it, I'm going to get it added, right? I'm only one voice.
Wait, you didn't make that?
What are we doing here?
I want my money back, please. No.
So FAQs, if there's something that I did not address today, you might find it on the FAQs. Check that out. If you like reading blogs, if reading is your cup of tea to learn information, you want to check out a blog. So one of the things that we talked about today was additional stops to a route. How do I do that? If you like to read through the short, bite-sized pieces of information, check out the blogs. Odds are we have all the answers to your questions. All right, next thing that you can look at for help and support and training is we have classes. What you're getting is an actual live class. So a typical class is 90 minutes. We book 90 minutes. You're getting a majority of the content. I think we are not going to cover everything because we went over a little bit for time. But what I do in a live class, you see here and what you're getting it today. We have online classes, so you go at your computer, you're going to go to a webinar, you have an instructor and your peers with you. We have some PM classes. I taught a PM class last night at 6 o'clock. It was super successful. So I know you guys are busy in the day with your real estate needs, so if you ever want to take a PM class, that's an option. And then we also have a few in-person classes, but that would be at the Tempe office if you wanted to do an in-person class. Last, we have a bunch of videos, actually second to last. So learning via videos, like if you're a YouTube scholar, you might want to watch a video. We have a handful of videos that's going to help you kind of get what you need to get done and move on with your day. They're less than 5 minutes, any single video. Here's the Aligned Showings online course. The online course is about 20 minutes long and it's broken up into modules. So you can take all modules, you can take one module, you can take it 100 times or 10 times. It's really up to you, whatever your learning style is. So that information, you can get it 2 ways, through the support window in Aligned Showings, or if you're at ermls.com, underneath the MLS tab, Aligned Showings. Both of those things are going to be in that area. There's a few other things I want to show you. One of those things being, what does my client's static web page look like? I didn't show you that. Let's look at that.
Oh, we would need to remind you to show us the static web page.
You got it. I'm on it right now. All right, so here we go. Here's an example of a listing I need to either approve or decline. You're going to see right here, this is my listing team, and then here's the showing team. In this example, I'm the listing agent, I'm the showing agent, so that's not bueno. But here are my seller/tenants. I've got Cole, he's my seller. Let me show you what his static page looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and hit copy seller appointment link. You wouldn't know to do this unless you took this class, so I'm glad you're here today. Let me show you what it looks like. And this is what their static page looks like. So if your client did happen to get texts or emails, this is essentially kind of what they'll see. No interactions really. So they can't reach out to the listing agent or the showing agent, excuse me. They can just see the dates and the approvals.
So when they get a notification like this, is there an icon where it says requested that
they can approve, right? If I gave them an option to approve,
yeah,
then they'll be able to approve it.
Okay.
I can't right now because I'm the client and the trainer and the listing agent and the showing agent.
And the owner.
Yeah. And the web developer. I basically did it all. So yeah, I have done it on my mobile device, but here it's totally confused. It's not gonna let me do anything. Alright, so another cool thing that I want to show you is, and this is one of the questions that came through when Kelly sent me questions, is how do I look at singular information or a week view or a day view? So right now, when I'm on the calendar, it's showing me the monthly view. If I want to filter by week, I can filter by week, kind of see what's going on. If I've got a really busy day, maybe I'll want to do a daily view and a custom range. If I only want to see, hey, what was going on last weekend? That is a possibility. You can do a custom range, right? Not only can you filter by the calendar as far as week view, week, month, or day, you can also filter by role. So if I want to say what was going on with just my listings, right? I deselected my showings. I'm just looking at my listings. There's also a status legend, so I can see all of these colors correspond to the statuses in the middle of the screen. So I've got a bunch of approved, I've got one decline, and I've got one that went to an expired status. P.S. This does not mean the listing went to an expired status. It means the request went to an expired status.
So how long are they out there before it goes expired?
Once that time passes,
okay,
it goes to expire.
Okay.
Yeah. I can also filter by partial address, full address, or agent information. So if there was somebody that I was working with way back in December, and they said, hey, Wendy, I really love your house. I'm considering a second showing, but I don't remember who that was. Maybe you want to play detective and do some filtering that way. So I'm going to filter out by my listings, and I'm going to look for the agent, Chelsea. And there we go. I declined a bunch of stuff for Chelsea. I don't know why. This is all a training environment, so we do lots of weird things here.
What's really cool too is when you share your route, like it outlines it for the client like via
You need to
text,
show that part.
which is like amazing. Like
Thank you.
It's like perfect.
Can you show us how to send your client the route?
Yeah. Good question.
Thanks.
Man, you're such a great student.
I know.
Paying attention. All right, so let me show you what that looks like if you want to share this information with your client. I went to routes. I'm going to go to route details. There's a button that says share right here. You have a couple share options. Now, previously I always loved copy to clipboard, but yesterday, for the first time ever, I did share via PDF. I'm like, actually, that's kind of cool. I like that because it's branded, right? It has the aligned showings information. It has each route in its own little area. Go ahead and pull that up so we can see what it looks like. So if you want to share this as a paper document or email it as a PDF, it's giving you all those routes, the name, the date, the aligned showings, the picture, and then some of the information on a map. So I'm like, actually, that's not.
Is that clickable?
Huh?
Is the PDF clickable? So can the client click on the address and then it takes them to maps?
That's what I was doing. Yeah, this you can click on it right here like this. Is that what you're talking about? Like making an email? Yeah.
Because
So
the copy to clipboard works.
yeah, I like copy to clipboard. That's why I usually did that. But this is a hyperlink, so they can for sure do that. Yes.
On our own listings, we have to go to Flex to do it. Is that correct? There's no way, if we want our sellers to know we're showing the listing, and it's our listing.
Oh, okay.
We can't do it from aligned showings. We
Yeah.
have to go, okay.
I do requests on my own listings all day, every day.
Okay, and how, because I didn't see it on the mobile app, so how do you?
Yeah. So I just want you to try and do it while we're doing it together while I'm going through this process. I want you to go to the aligned showings and click on add showing and see if you can just type in the MLS ID number or the property address.
Oh, I have to know that. I can't just go from aligned showings and where it says my listings. Like I can bring up my listings here.
No, you want to do it from my listings. You want to
Okay.
type in the MLS ID number from the quick search. Yes.
Showing Time used to have the option to do a buyer's view or an agent's view on this, and the agent's view has additional information on I don't know, maybe the code or the gate code, I don't know, some
Right.
additional or
So,
contact
yeah.
information.
What we see here is what your clients are going to see, so it doesn't have all those optional views. But that's a good point, and if you like that feature, if you loved it, add it. But I know when you're printing reports off in Flex MLS, it shows you the public versus private versions. So that's what I would print out if you're gonna print.
Yeah, because they kind of did, I know what you're talking about, the buyer's route and then the agent route.
Yeah,
I
I've done it
like
for
that
myself,
too.
so I'd be like, okay,
Uh-huh,
quickly I have
and then
their
they have it
information.
too. I know.
So I'm gonna
I
do
like
copy to
that.
clipboard. Basically, I just copied over that information, and I'm gonna put it in an email and either send it to myself or send it to my client or print it out on a Word document. I actually have to load up my email. Sorry, I close it out for training so that way it doesn't.
But that doesn't give them the ability to change that route or do
No,
it,
you're just
right?
copying and pasting
Okay.
the information. So I copied it. Here it is. I'm gonna send it to my client. And then I'm gonna give it a name, and then here's all the maps information. So another common question that came up is, I know that the routes is doing time, but it's not necessarily doing mileage. So mileage is important sometimes for tax purposes. When you do save this information, and maybe you're emailing it to yourself for tax records, when you're plugging this information into Google, it's gonna give you that information. So I just basically copied the link. Now Google is pulling up, and wherever my starting point is, it'll tell me wherever I need to, or if I needed to, plot out different points, like so I know exactly what my mileage is, you can. But minutes and miles are almost the same as far as Maricopa County grid goes, so we're in luck there. All right, let me show you some other things about messages when I'm approving or denying requests. So I want to look at some requests so I can show you how easy it is to edit this information on the fly. So if I have a showing request that came through and I need to approve it or deny it, I'm going to show you what that looks like. So for this one, I'm going to decline it. And man, in the back, your question, you're talking about listing agent. Can I request a showing on my own listing? So it shows you right here, I'm the listing agent and I'm the showing agent. So I know for sure it works because I do it all day, every day. So it should work for you. If it doesn't, we can talk about it after class. All right, I'm going to decline this request. Why can't this property be seen? Property is unavailable. Maybe I want to say something like there was a flood on the second floor. Request in 2 days. Right? I think that's a valid reason. Or maybe somebody in the house has a stomach virus or COVID. Those might be some valid reasons why showings might get declined. Let's look at one and approve it. I'm sure it is. I do so many approvals for my showing requests that I have nothing to show you guys. Alright, that's not fun. Alright, I'm going to forget that. I'll show you a decline at another time. Other things that I wanted to show you is underneath contacts. This is where that list of sellers comes from. So if you've created a database of sellers, go to My Sellers and click Export, and that way you can either get it to Flex MLS or your CRM, so your customer management system. That's how you would get that information outside of Align Showings and into another database. My teams are people that I've designated as teammates. Anytime I click on My Teams, their information will show. My company is everybody in my company with my office code. So if my office code was WUSA05 or EXP03, right? Everybody with that same office code is going to pop up underneath my company. This happens to be all AR MLS staff, which is why you see 88. And then all agents is all agents. So if there's someone that you're trying to hunt down, someone showed your house, you remember their first name but not their last name, you can definitely filter through all agents. Hopefully they don't have a common name like Bill Smith. And then you can find using a search for all agents. Of course that works in Flex MLS as well. Alerts is those push notifications. So on your mobile device, what you see under alerts is what you're seeing on your push notifications. And reports need some work. I don't love it. I want to see some improvements. If you are of the same mindset, please, please, please tell development. There's only a few things that, you know, for example, I want to see all of my showings on a graph or all of my listings on a graph individually, right? So it's just plotting all of this information on one single line. That doesn't work for me. I do like that if I go to reports and I do messages, it's just going to show me all the communications with this particular listing. If you're in messages and you're trying to sift through all the messages, you'd have so many different listings that you'd have to look at. This kind of filters it out. So if I click on messages here, it's just looking for all the communications that were associated with this one individual listing. So is that helpful? Sure.
So do you know how Showing Time had feedback, like you could send the feedback to your clients, or I could go back and look and see showings feedback. Do we have, is there a report in this
Let's talk about that.
Because that was kind of nice. Like
I want you to submit a request.
Okay.
Again, that's one of the things that I don't love about reports. So let's show you what feedback looks like. How do I find feedback? First off, let me give you a little disclaimer. I'm going to get on my soapbox about feedback. There are two types of people in the world. People that will give feedback and people that won't. And for the people that won't, it doesn't really matter what you do. You're not going to motivate them to give feedback, right? So don't waste your breath, right? You can send them a reminder. This particular feature doesn't do it, and maybe that's one of the reasons why. It's a one-time request. So if you are requesting feedback, Align Showings is going to send it out one time, and that's it. That's the end of the conversation. But if you're like, well, maybe if I send them a second request, or if I send them a request every day until they're blue in the face, they'll respond to me. Sure, that might be the case. Let me go ahead and show you what the feedback looks like. All right, it's around here somewhere. Okay, so here's an example of feedback. What I don't love is it's only hiding it in messages. I would really love the ability for me to flag it, or put it in a folder, or attach it to a client, or attach it to a listing.
There's no share.
Yeah, nothing. You have to copy and paste.
It was super easy. Like, let's say we have a hot listing and you have like 20 showings in one day, because those happen, right? And then you have like 5 people that are like interested, writing an offer. I would just print those things, and I would highlight those agents and call them and like, hey, I haven't got your offer yet. I got your offer. I haven't got your offer. You know what I mean? Like, is it coming in?
Yeah.
And this doesn't have that.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I 100% agree.
Okay.
Nobody in development asked me how to
No, I
fix
just
this.
was wondering. I couldn't find it, and I was just wondering if I was missing something.
No.
Okay.
It's just not there, and it might have been something that the development team didn't think of fully.
Okay.
Or maybe it's still something that they're working on and it just takes more time to integrate. I don't know.
It does email the feedback as they fill it out, though.
It's
right?
going to send it to you in messages, and that's it. It's in messages.
Oh.
So when you wanted to pull a report, like on a super hot listing, you don't have it.
My suggestion for your workaround right now is find your feedback, copy and paste it, put it in a Word document, or put it in an email. So you have all of the feedback in one place.
Okay.
It's terrible, right? This is not my favorite feature, and I usually don't touch on it. But I want to be transparent. I want to show you what it looks like and how to navigate these things. And then specifically, tell development, fix this feature. I've been screaming this since October, so let's hopefully it gets done. One last thing is that you can do a team note. So right here, messages, this is all messages between the listing agents and the showing agents. But if I go to team note, I can make a note just for people that are on my team, right? So this happens to be a listing that has a lot of people involved in my team. Maybe sending a team note is a good idea. Like, I want to say the client's dog died yesterday. No showings. Right? I don't know what is a good example of notes. The client is feeling feverish or feeling sick, right? Or the kids are at home. Those are things that you might want to consider when you're doing a team note. If I press send, I'll get your question in just a minute. That note is only going to my teammates attached to the listing. Yes, sir.
when you're done, are you able to go back to where you requested multiple showings and then it automatically went to align showings and created a route?
Yeah, yeah. You want me to create a route again? Just
From
go through the
within like
process?
MLS?
Yes.
Like there was, like you went to, like you right click and then it went to align showings.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm just creating them within align showings.
Yeah, I can do it. But we're officially over with class. It is exactly time.
Yeah, sure.
So if you want to stick around and you have more questions or you want to see something, stick around. Other than that, have a great rest of your